Hello and welcome to Polystitch English channel. I had some pieces of gray cloth from the previous work, so today we're going to put them in use. I cut squares 12 by 12 centimeters and got 16 pieces. And the pattern is the simplest, a wedge. We draw a diagonal, set aside 3.5 centimeters on both sides of the corner and connect these points with the opposite angle. After that, we draw serifs on the front side of the squares. And when cutting colored fabrics, we do not need a precise cut. Make it about 3 to 4 centimeters wide. By the way, if you still have narrow small strips from the previous projects, it's time to use them and give them a second life. You can take a wide variety of fabrics, but thin lining fabrics are very suitable for this sewing method. Silk shine and weightlessness are just what you need. And if we take into account that gray fabrics are suiting fabrics, which also stretch, then we will compensate for the disadvantages of one fabric with the advantages of another. It's time to sew on the first colored strip. We turn the long edge, apply it to the square of the workpiece, combining the drawn lines and the corner of the square and stitch it. Make sure to fix the beginning and the end of each line. We do not break the threads, we sew immediately with the garland. We sew such strips on both sides along the outlined lines, a bit like the letter V, such a check mark. You can take the color of the stripes to your taste, arbitrarily. But I calculated the pattern that I want to get, and therefore I sew a strictly defined number of blocks with the desired combination of colors. After the first row has been sewn, you can immediately trim the overhanging edges. We sew the second row of colored stripes in a different way. We put them face to face and lay a line. We do not break the threads. If the length of the strips allows, then we sew several parts at once. This way we save threads, fabrics, and time. Of course, remember about the iron. We carefully smooth out all the details, and after that we trim and remove the excess. You see, we will have uncovered corners. After that, we sew on the third row of stripes. And the procedure is already familiar to us, working with an iron and leveling the work pieces. Remember that the dark fabrics are stretchy and the work pieces could be deformed and stretched in the process of sewing. Here you need to be patient and carefully measure everything because the accuracy of the locking will depend on this. Take your receipts according to the purchase tickets. We spread the desired pattern. I only sewed the strips of the first row in the sequence I needed and everything else just as it goes. This is called the scientific guess, which sounds like nauchny tyk in Russian. Who does not know, Tyk is a famous ancient Russian self-taught scientist. His method is still used today when we need to guess something. And I wanted such a color combination. Inside, there is a turquoise oriental star bordered by a red glow. But this is not the only option. Another pattern can be combined from this combination of colored blocks. Already, here is a red shining crystal star with a turquoise gleam. However, we will sew the turquoise star. The details will be connected in the simplest and most ergonomic way. We will sew everything in vertical rows. Firstly, we sew the first and second rows, then the third and the fourth, and then we combine everything into one canvas. I dedicated myself to work. I used to think it was for the money, but then I looked at the salary and realized that it was for love. It is very good that the workpiece was assembled on a removable tabletop, which I made myself from pieces of laminate. It can be easily slid to make room for the sewing machine. When working at the sewing machine, we do not break the threads. We collect everything like a garland. We save time and threads. Be sure to fix all the seams. The entire canvas is held on the connecting threads. And now it is needed to iron everything, because if this is not done now, then it will not be possible to get to these seams later. The seams are plump. We iron them as follows. In the first row, towards ourselves, and in the next, from ourselves, so that when joining the seams, they form a lock. And now, all that remains is to sew the canvas horizontally. After that, we carefully work with the iron again. Remember that in our work, we have fabrics that are not intended for patchwork, so work carefully. This is not an obedient cotton, because it has an addition of synthetics. It is much more difficult to work with them, and the achieved result is more interesting. See how impressively they look together. Imagine you make a large canvas with just the pattern, how beautiful it will look. In my case, I sew these blocks as the material accumulates. By the way, have a look at the other options for blocks on the gray fabric that I have already made. So for now, I'm sewing in reserve, preparing strategic stockpiles of UFOs, meaning unfinished patchwork objects. Thank you for watching, support me with the likes and comments, subscribe to the channel, and see you in the next video.